Hi everyone, thank you for joining our virtual session at BoxWorks. My name is Ali Gapi and I lead our enterprise sales team at Box. In this session, we're excited to highlight some of the amazing product announcements discussed in the keynote, while providing some real-world examples of how our products work together to power intelligent content management for our customers. So let's dive in. This is such an exciting time for Box. Over the years, we have become the experts in protecting and managing all your unstructured data. Speaking of data, most of that data is in your enterprise is unstructured. And according to a recent study at IDC, 90% of that organization's data is unstructured. What we've realized is that the full value of that data is completely unrealized. Unlike structured data, which is easily queried, analyzed, and reported against, unstructured data has nearly been impossible to tap into at scale. Your video files, your contracts, your research, it's holding all that untapped value. So here's the question. You know what's in your structured data, but do you know what kind of value you can extract from your unstructured data? For the first time, we can actually get value from our unstructured data with, you guessed it, AI. AI is transforming how we can get the most out of our content. It can help us understand and tap into the full value of our content. There is no place AI is going to have a bigger impact than on content. Removing the barriers to assess, structure, and leverage this data at scale with technology. AI can read and interpret content instantly, generating answers to any questions quickly. You can access the information locked within content and use it to automate any workflows faster. And by automatically identifying sensitive or proprietary data, AI will allow you to quickly safeguard these assets, keeping your company secure and compliant. But the hard truth is, the full value of your content will never be unlocked today because your people are creating mass amounts of data, content, every day, and they're spending too much time searching for it. This creates serious productivity pitfalls, which then creates growing security risks. Content contains some of the most critical data in your enterprise: customer data, PII, financials, IP. Most of these legacy content systems are expensive and outdated and cost more than just money. You're missing out on opportunities to drive growth and innovation. Lastly, the fundamental innovation at the heart of generative AI is the ability to extract and apply structure to unstructured data like content. Most approaches to this are simply creating AI silos. When you implement multiple technologies, you create more silos of bolt-on AI capabilities and can never truly unlock the value in your content. There has to be a better way. Welcome to the age of intelligent content management with Box. We provide a unified, AI-powered approach to managing and securing your unstructured data. Intelligent content management provides organizations with collaboration, AI, security, compliance, and workflow tools. Interoperable and customizable platform to get the most from their content. And we're just getting started. Our products continue to bring the next level of innovation to our customers. To help us walk through the biggest announcements for enterprise at BoxWorks, I'm pleased to introduce my fellow Boxers and solution engineers, Karen and Tim.
Hello, everyone. My name is Karen, and I'm on the Solutions Engineering team here at Box.
And I'm Tim, also on the Solutions Engineering team here at Box. We're excited to walk you through some of the announcements we made here at BoxWorks. Today, we will cover major advancements in security and compliance, workflow and collaboration, AI, and our scalable platform. So let's dive in. Let's start with the expansion of our security and compliance capabilities. With folder insights, users will have a faster way to track what's going on within a folder. For example, who has been invited in to collaborate, what shared links exist for the data in the folder, and usage insights such as who is downloading and previewing content. For admins, we're excited about the launch of an updated Content Manager. In addition to giving Content Manager a new look, we're also providing an even more search capabilities, including giving enterprises the ability to locate specific files or folders by shared link and ID, preview and search trash content, perform bulk actions, plus more. The highly anticipated Box Archive will address your compliance requirements through long-term compliant content preservation. Archive is driven by admins and owned by the enterprise, where content can be archived and removed from users' all files, pages, and searches, while enforcing final versions on files to preserve final states. Lastly, for our admins, content recovery makes it easy to recover files in hours. In addition to our current malware detection and rollback process, we now will provide a unified solution by detecting and alerting on anomalous file activity, automatically stop ransomware from further affecting files in Box Drive, and enable easy restoration of infected files from the Shield admin console to ensure business continuity. Now, let's jump into workflow and collaboration updates.
With Box Forms, we make it easy to design and publish forms in Box. Users can effortlessly arrange elements using the intuitive drag-and-drop builder to customize any form layout. This will make it easier for our customers to start a workflow with a form, which captures valuable metadata that can be used for conditional logic to dynamically show or hide fields based on user input. Partnering with Forms, but not limited to Forms, we're excited to launch Box DocGen for document generation. DocGen will enable you to generate dynamic, data-driven documents from multiple data sources. In addition to pulling in data from Box Forms, you will be able to generate documents from third-party sources, including Salesforce. By making it easier for teams to natively generate documents in Box from the data populated in Forms or other sources, you can power additional content workflows like generating and sending a contract or NDA for signature. Box Apps allows users to create customizable dashboard views of their data, setting up recurring searches, metadata views, and even performing mass metadata updates. Users will no longer have to traverse lengthy folder and file trees to easily find the content they need to do their work. They can also save their searches so they can quickly get back to that list of data again and again. If the content doesn't already have metadata associated, with the power of AI, enterprises will be able to automatically extract metadata, enabling them to organize, categorize, and trigger content workflows. Need to publish any of your content externally? Or do you have project teams needing to stay on track after all these newly signed contracts? We're excited to share Box Hubs went GA end of September. Hubs makes it easy to surface content from Box in digestible portals or playlists. Hubs gives teams access to the most relevant information so they don't have to spend time searching. It's all right there. Hubs plus AI makes multi-doc querying simple. With AI built right into Hubs, users won't spend time searching and opening multiple documents to find the information they need. Simply ask the question and get insights instantly, and Hubs can be shared externally.
Keeping on our AI trend, we're excited to announce our upcoming Box AI Studio. We're giving enterprises advanced admin controls over AI with model controls and customizations. With AI Studio, we will give enterprises the ability to choose from a list of curated models or bring your own model, enabling you to build, test, and deploy your own AI experiences. Lastly, we're continuing to scale our platform. We've made exciting API and UI advancements. With Box Platform, we're making it even easier to extend the power of Box when, where, and how you need to across your tech stack and within your custom applications. With these new innovations, we're providing more tools and assets to help your developers get started. We're also expanding our already robust API library with new DocGen and Box AI APIs, such as Box's AI metadata extraction API, currently in public beta, which is expected to GA next year. We've also made enhancements to the Box UI elements to help developers more easily create branded and custom portal experiences with pre-built content UI components.
And lastly, we're happy to announce we're expanding our integration network with Adobe Express. Users will be able to make simple edits to images using Adobe Express as a built-in editor for images stored in Box without needing an Adobe Express account. With this easy integration, we continue to make collaboration seamless. At Box, we're focused on innovation and how our products can provide our customers with maximum outcomes. To see these featured announcements work together, Tim, are you ready to provide a demo?
I am. With so many new product announcements shared today, let's see how ACME Corp can generate, share, collaborate, and archive project contracts and information with their vendors quickly using solutions announced today at BoxWorks. ACME Corp is a professional services company that contracts several vendors a day for their various projects. Today's example will highlight executing a sales agreement with their project vendor, Apex Wave Solutions. Let's begin. First, Athena needs to create a contract for their vendor. The ACME legal team has created a simple dashboard view for the sales team to use. Athena can use her dashboard to review her monthly renewals, view all of her signed contracts, as well as generate new agreements. When accessing content from her dashboard, Box permissions still apply, and she will only be able to see contracts for the projects she has explicit access to. In order to start the new contract, Athena will select the new agreement submission form in her sales dashboard. Athena is working with one of their vendors, Apex Wave Solutions, and needs to send over a contract. Instead of searching through old contracts or taking cycles away from the legal team, Athena will fill out a Box form, including the information necessary to generate the contract. This includes things such as the start date of the engagement, agreement on auto-renewal, who from Apex Wave Solutions will sign the agreement. They're purchasing our best widget product, signing up for our extended support plan, and do not have a termination for convenience clause in the agreement. Once the form is complete, she simply clicks Submit. Once submitted, Box DocGen will take the information filled out on the form and marry it with a pre-built contract template. This allows specific contextual information, such as the company we're doing business with, what product they are subscribing to, and what support plan they agreed to be automatically populated into the contract, as well as populating the correct legal clauses for items such as whether or not there is termination for convenience. In addition, Box DocGen can optionally pull in data from external sources and systems, such as CRM and ERP solutions, to populate this contract as needed. Box Forms and Box DocGen allows Athena to streamline the contract creation process without requiring someone to manually edit and fill in this information on each individual contract created. As soon as Athena submits the form, Box creates and routes the contract to Apex Wave Solutions for electronic signature. If this contract met a specific threshold value, we could optionally route it to our legal or sales management team first for approval. However, since this contract fell below a contract value threshold, it was routed directly to the customer for electronic signature via Box Sign. Margot at Apex Wave Solutions receives the Box Sign request. She agrees to the Box Sign disclosure, reviews the details of the contract to confirm they are correct. For example, she sees that the termination for convenience clause has been correctly worded on the agreement. Then Margot signs the agreement. Since Box Sign is included with your Box subscription, you can have the confidence that your contract is secured with the same advanced security policies and compliance alignment provided with the Box solution. Good news, Margot signed the contract. Athena is notified once the contract is signed. In addition, the completed contract is automatically stored in the contracts folder in Box and available to both Athena and the legal team. Now that we have a completed contract, Sonia on our legal team has been notified of the new contract submission. The ACME legal team has a separate dashboard view from the sales team, which shows different contract statuses, contract workflow status, and common searches such as showing contracts worth over $500,000. With this dashboard view, the legal team's daily tasks are quickly organized. On her legal dashboard, she clicks on New Submission to view the Apex Wave Solutions contract. Let's pull all of the rich contextual information included in this document. With Box's metadata extraction capabilities, Sonia can tell Box to automatically scan the contract, identify important contextual information, and structure that information into the contract metadata. This can help increase searchability of key information, drive important business processes such as review and approval flows, apply regulatory retention policies to align with compliance requirements, and automate targeted security policies on content based on its sensitivity. While we started this process manually, this process can also be triggered programmatically using the Box AI Metadata Extraction API when any contract is uploaded into Box. Having this important information automatically extracted and indexed as metadata saves ACME's legal team hours of manual review and data entry per project. The previous process of manually reviewing and adding metadata has now been reduced to a matter of seconds. Now that we have important information about the contract structured as metadata, Sonia can quickly use Box Apps to search by any field. For example, the marketing team has come to Sonia and asked what customers that use ACME Corp's best widget product have agreed to media rights. Sonia can clearly see that these customers have agreed to participate in marketing activities and quickly provides the list of customers back to the marketing team. Now let's kick off the project. Our Project Hub allows members of the project team to view all project information, including overview information, project management documents, and budgeting information. Lane, ACME Corp's project lead, needs to quickly understand the project backlog and work back information. Using Box AI for Hubs, Lane is able to quickly get this information without having to locate the file and the location of the specific information inside of the file. He will query Box AI. What is the updated project backlog and work back information? Box AI for Hubs will return the specific backlog and work back information, including citations on where this data was located from within the hub. This allows Lane to quickly pivot the project as needed to ensure it stays on time and on budget. To keep the project on track, Lane needs to add a new Apex Wave Solutions project manager to this project hub. Lane will click on the Share button, then add the external user's email address. Now both companies are able to stay updated to work in lockstep throughout the project completion. Now, it's been 2 years since Athena, Sonia, Margot, and Lane started this project. Since the current contract is expiring soon, Margot requests a new contract since they would like to renew their services with the ACME Corp team. As a part of this process, ACME Corp needs to archive the project information related to the original project when the new contract begins. Box Archive enables legal teams to establish retention requirements and enforce final versions on files, ensuring compliance with regulatory standards. By archiving data in Box, it is securely preserved while no longer occupying the active environment. This approach allows for seamless alignment with regulatory requirements and maintains a unified content architecture within Box. As you can see, with the use of Box, ACME Corp's sales, legal, and project teams can seamlessly collaborate to execute vendor contracts and partner on vendor projects. We announced some exciting innovations at BoxWorks this year: Box Apps, metadata extraction, DocGen, Archive, and more. We hope seeing our products come to life through the view of ACME Corp was a real-world example of how Box powers how the world works. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please reach out to us here at box.com for more information. Now, let's turn it back to Ali for a customer conversation.
Thank you, demo team, for bringing our products to life in a visual. At Box, we're lucky to have almost 70% of the Fortune 500 creating real value with intelligent content management. And today, I have the great honor of having two of those amazing customers here to discuss the exciting announcements we saw at BoxWorks this year. I'm pleased to introduce Nate McBride, Senior Vice President of IT at Exilio Therapeutics, and Vikram Jatho, CIO at Los Angeles City Employee Retirement Systems, otherwise known as LACERS. Welcome, both. So we know a little bit about your role. Can you tell us a little bit about your organization? Nate, we can start with you.
Exilio Therapeutics is a targeted immunotherapy company in the oncology space.
Great. And Vikram?
Hi, good morning. So LACERS is the retirement trust fund for the city of LA's civilian employees.
Fantastic. And let's level set with the listeners here. How long have you been a Box customer? And tell us a little bit about how you're using Box today. Vikram, maybe we can start with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So we started with Box right before the pandemic. So we engaged Box in 2019. We were able to sign contracts in 2020. And then right when that happened, we went work from home. And so we had the great pleasure of implementing Box virtually for our organization. And yeah, we've hit the ground running, and 4 years later, we've had a lot of improvements to share.
That's great. Thank you. And Nate?
So I've been a Box customer since about 2012 through various companies, but along my journey, I've continued to implement it when I step in the door.
That's great. And diving into some of the more incredible announcements that we saw today at BoxWorks, we have AI Studio, AI metadata extraction, hubs, apps. What are you most excited about and why? Maybe, Nate, we can start with you.
So, I mean, not to overcapitalize on sort of the generative AI zeitgeist effect right now, but ultimately we are seeing immediate gains already by having deployed the generative AI functionality. We are using it across the board, especially on the summarization side for a lot of our documentation. But when it comes to using the Box Notes functionality as well, we're seeing big gains there too. And it's actually improved our Box Notes adoption across the company.
That's great. And Vikram, what about you?
Oh, well, Box Hubs has been a game changer for us. As I mentioned, we moved into the cloud around 2018, 2019, and had we started our organization in 1937. And so we've had about 75 years worth of paper laying around in boxes and whatnot on desktops, local networks. And so migrating everything into Box in a hurry kind of created a Wild West situation. And being able to take a stab at actually organizing our data to be able to be used by our employees effectively has been massive for us. So we already have launched 2 different hubs for our organization, both on the HR side as well as on our benefit side. And we're kind of going headlong into one of the more exciting kind of elements as it relates to our content, which is around our history of legal opinions that really guide and define our work. So Box Hubs has been a huge kind of game changer for us, and Box AI implementation is next along those lines.
That's great. Some of these new product announcements are cutting edge. How do you think about implementing something? Do you start slow? Do you just rip the Band-Aid off and go into it? Like, what's your implementation methodology, and how do you think about that?
Yeah, so as Box kind of constantly releases new exciting updates, one of the things that we do is we have our internal kind of consulting team that works with the various groups throughout our organization. And so as it related to relays, as it relates to hubs, as it relates to using Box Notes for our meetings, there's things that we kind of we pioneer and beta test within these particular units, and then we just go on the road and we showcase all the various groups. So Box Hubs basically are used for within our benefits organization. Started exactly that. We created an internal consulting team. We built out our Box folder structure and then the hubs on top of that, and then began showcasing it and really allow people to see and play with kind of how their kind of day-to-day lives dealing with content could be improved. And from there, we never, in my role as CIO, I don't ever try to kind of rule with an iron fist and saying, we're doing this. It's always show and prove. And so with our internal consulting team model, we use that to really pioneer kind of where we would like to go and what would be considered bleeding edge for our organization, and kind of get user adoption that way.
That's great. Not ruling with an iron fist, getting employees to buy in on the experience prior to actually implementing it. I like the approach. With Nate, generative AI and AI in general is very cutting edge, and a lot of companies struggle to where the policy is and how to implement that and how much to give freedom of that usage to the users. How do you think about implementing that?
We started working on this as soon as it started to catch a little bit of a breeze. We started working on this last summer of 2023, and we started with training our employees how to write questions. In fact, how to start to ask questions of what was then at the time GPT-3. And then we changed over to starting to use Claude as our platform. And then it was a matter of just consistently training and retraining employees on prompt engineering, ultimately to the point where they can go into a Box solution, they can ask the right question and get the right answer. Instead of having an answer that might be ambiguous, they're able to get right to the heart of the question. And I think that's been one of the keys for us, is for those companies that are not taking the time to do the proper prompt engineering training, their users are going to suffer a little bit, I think, in terms of their results, especially in some of these better solutions.
Yeah, Nate, I think oftentimes with all of these different AI solutions out there, it becomes difficult to control either with policies or permissions and who has access to the content, what are the right responses.
Right.
And are you using Box AI today?
We are. Ultimately, we're using it across the board. It's enabled for the entire company. Everyone in the company has been trained, not only on our policy side of AI uses, but also on actual practical use. So there's a lot of trust that's going into a couple things. One, our Box ontology is built so that all of our unstructured data is in the right place. They're not just searching a random assortment of millions of files. It's actually very structured.
Yeah.
And depending on your role, will depend on what you're able to get a result from. So with that in mind, we're still, again, we're continuously pressing that training in terms of how to continue to improve how you ask questions, because even the capability of asking questions and asking for information that are summaries of your data continues to improve. So we have to keep pace with the way prompt engineering is changing too.
That's great. Thanks, Nate. And Vikram, I know you're a big fan of our Hubs functionality. And now with Hubs and AI, you can get some pretty interesting results on a bigger set of data. How are you thinking about whether it's Box AI or just AI in general, implementing that across Lacers?
Yeah, I want to kind of circle back to something that Nathan had mentioned around just the prompt engineering that I really love. I mean, one of the kind of cornerstones of where I'm trying to get to is consistency, and that is kind of the linchpin across into our entire kind of content management program. And how do we get the same information out, and how do we to anyone looking, and how do we train people consistently so that they're finding the right thing? I think about like when the term Boolean hit the kind of mass market and changed how people Google search. Like that's what we're working to get to. And for us, that move from analog to digital, we're 4 or 5 years into this. And a lot of, there's an approach that a lot of our staff just hasn't caught up with in terms of how do you search for things. Not only that, in terms of all of the metadata and how we classify documents, permissioning down the line, that is something that we're working through currently. So, in our first kind of use case with Box Hubs, what we found was a universe of forms that would come up if you just search survivor benefits, which in the pension world, hugely important. And so who your benefits go to upon your passing, right? And we don't want to get that wrong. But we also have a universe of content that is tagged when you're running kind of just a general Box AI or for search generally is a universe of things that tag survivor benefits. And so I think for us, a really exciting landscape is how do we actually create, extract that information and then apply the appropriate tags, the appropriate classifications for documents so that we are consistently delivering our end users, our employees, what they are looking for so that they can better service the members in a consistent fashion. And so for me, everything is guided to how do we get to a degree of consistency while still maintaining that human approach that Lacers is known for our members, and making sure even just from a training and kind of broader employee experience perspective, that we are doing everything that we can so that people are not wasting their days sifting through, trying to find information, and then having to fill the gaps with their own kind of knowledge base, which may lead to kind of inconsistent results. And so there's a lot that we're doing in terms of how do we use the tools that we have to ensure kind of a consistent experience for employees and for members. And a lot of that is just around all of that unstructured data, right? All of that, those pieces that we need in our roles to get in order. And so that's where kind of we're really heavily focused on at the moment.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think one of the benefits that we've seen from our customers around Box is our open APIs and the ability to connect to other systems. How do you think about a connected ecosystem within Lacers?
Oh, that's the dream right there. And so, we have a lot of different kind of applications that we use, from our kind of internal retirement system that we've been trying to API connect into our other platforms. Cybersecurity is a big kind of big feature for us, and so MX Hero was one of those that we implemented. And we're constantly looking for those connections. Our big kind of push now is the creation of our own data lake, which we're calling our central repository that connects everything in, right? And so we're using Box, and we've used Box Consulting to help really bridge the gap between our content and our services. So that was our retirement application portal. We're now looking, we brought on the consulting team to really help us work through our actual work processes. So kind of point by point, as we intake content and as we kind of work through our systems, how does that flow of information occur, and what are all the various systems that need to connect into it? So being able to actually have that open API capability kind of fits right in line with where we are in our roadmap of where we're looking to go within the next 2 to 5, is be able to have all these connected systems and actually have a usable data lake that is not just pulling from an outdated SharePoint site or 3. We actually have like 6 instances, and kind of really modifying everything into our Box environment, from, again, content intake, servicing of those documents, and then and out into the world.
Sounds like you've done a lot with our APIs and connecting it across systems. Appreciate that. Nate, do you have any experience with our open APIs, and how are you thinking about interconnected ecosystems on your side?
A lot of experience with it. In fact, It's one of my favorite parts of Box. I look at Box way different than I did, say, 10 years ago. Back then, it was, how do we use this thing to transform our company sort of outwards? And how do we change all of our processes? When we've come so far with Box now that I look at it sort of inwards, which is, what about all the other things I have, and how do they transform Box? And so across my entire suite of cloud environments, literally every single thing in one way or another talks to Box, either pushing things in, taking things out, making changes based on changes inside of Box. And this goes way beyond using the relay function. This is now using those APIs. And so for me, it's not the hammer for every nail, but every single time I think, okay, is this thing going to have an output? I have to think to myself, okay, how does it get back into Box? Like, where in the cycle is it going to go and put that data back into Box? So we're pushing a lot of frontiers there. I'm not so impatient for Box to come out with new functionality. I mean, I certainly do wish that things would happen faster, but I think of things like how much we could disrupt lifecycle management for, say, contract lifecycle management, and build our own now. Right. And so we're exploring that. Like, how do we build our own CLMS for nearly free, as opposed to spending, X to get every single bell and whistle? Well, the technology's there right now today. Box is a wonderful solution for handling that doc workflow inside. So I look at it now as this wonderful sort of nexus of all other things that can happen. Yeah. And it continues to amaze me what I'm able to push it to do.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's definitely the vision for Box, and I'm glad you are on that journey with us. If you could provide some words of wisdom for customers or prospects that are early on their journey or considering moving to Box, is there any advice you could give to those people that are considering Box?
Well, I would say that when you first open up Box, it's blank. I mean, it's a nice little white box, and it's saying, put your stuff inside here, please. We'll take it all. Yeah. It's a wonderful feeling. And then you look at all the stuff you have, and there's this sort of wow moment. To use a sort of lighter phrase, there's a lot of work, I think, that needs to come in before you do this. Before making the step towards Box is a huge positive step, but you still have a lot of work to do before you start putting things in Box. And so my advice is always to folks, don't just start just dumping everything in the way it is today. This is your one opportunity. It's a beautiful opportunity, I might add, to create the ideal. Like, what does the ideal look like? Like, what have you always dreamed about doing structurally? Because if you can do that now, the dividends that will pay off later for using, metadata and generative AI and these other functions on top of this, it's a world of difference than people who just take all the garbage and they just kind of put it in this new thing. I think that's almost like wrecking the Lamborghini. You're effectively like buying this beautiful thing and then destroying it by all at once just dumping your data in.
Yeah.
Obviously, there might be reasons to put all your stuff in really quickly, but at the same time, I look at it as a huge opportunity. And so I would exploit that if I was a new customer.
Yeah, you just put a little bit of thought in the front end, and it's going to pay out in dividends as you grow that. So thank you, Nate. I appreciate that. Vikram, any words of advice from you?
Yeah. Again, Nate's dropping wisdom here. And one of the things he mentioned in his last talking points kind of made me chuckle because while Exilio was looking external and brought it internal, we actually had a complete opposite approach. We went internal, and then it was, how can we use this externally? And then that's where the retirement application portal came about. Then we started thinking about how do we use Box for our workflows. But when I think back around the contracting process with Box, as a pseudo-government kind of organization, government contracting is a bear, and decisions are not made lightly, and there's multiple steps that need to be taken care of. And, before I started my public sector career, I came out of the finance and like product development spaces. And one of the things that was kind of always in my head and in my heart as buying decisions are being made is trust the roadmap of the company, not necessarily where they're at today, but where can you trust that they're going to be in the future? And, we consulted the Magic Quadrant. We landed on Box, and the big selling point was I got a sense of where Box was going to go. And, fast forward like 5 or so odd years, and exactly where kind of I was hoping Box was going to land is exactly where it landed. And so in terms of like, as Nate mentioned around the big white screen, we went through that same like, well, how do we kind of actually structure our folders, and how do we structure our business units and operate? And so I would say like for prospective buyers, really look at where the roadmap is, right? And so just us being able to bring on Box has allowed us to eliminate contracts from 3 different other kind of single use vendors, right? So that's been kind of huge for us just from like a budget perspective. The price point that we're able to do what we want to do, case in point, right before the SVB crash, we were about to bring on a whole knowledge management system. Unfortunately, that company is no longer with us, but they had a great AI-enabled platform. Fast forward 1 month, and then Hubs and AI came on for beta. And it was like, oh, I don't need to go outside and pursue this anymore. We could build it right here. And so I would say, again, for the prospective buyers, look at that roadmap. And if it's something that you can believe in, go for it. For kind of new customers, I would absolutely mirror Nathan's points around kind of really be thoughtful around how do you want to use this kind of this large wad of clay to structure it into your organization. And, again, like what we're seeing in Hubs, if I would have had Hubs in 2019, 2020, whenever it is that we launched Box, that would have been an incredible kind of signpost of how we should actually structure our folders, right? So looking at these new tools for new customers, I'm kind of envious because you can actually build it with that in mind. And you'll have a much funner, cleaner experience and usability out the gate, right? So don't disregard content classification, right? That searchability. Embrace the new tools ahead of time. Don't just be in a rush to throw everything in. Really be thoughtful around like how do you activate these new tools for the benefit of your organization. And again, kind of harkening back, we brought in Box strictly for internal uses, and then realized that there's so much more in the universe that we could do externally. And in that regard, the sky's the limit in terms of what you can do. I mean, we used a content management system at the time to now become our retirement application process system, right? And have workflows on the back end, and everything kind of acts within a Box as a system of record. And so, it's been kind of a great thing for us within our roadmap, and has informed kind of the variety of vendors that we play with. And if it doesn't really suit within, it gives us it allows us to gatekeep really effectively. And so yeah, that would be my long-winded tips and tricks.
No, there's a lot of tips and wisdoms in there, so I appreciate the input, Vikram. Gentlemen, thank you for your time today, spending a little bit to talk about just AI in general, because we all have to talk about it, but also after just all the announcements that we had. I appreciate your time, your feedback on that, your words of wisdom. Thank you to both of you.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you to our customers, demo team, and all of you watching today. We hope you are as excited about all the incredible innovation shared at BoxWorks as we are. To find out more, reach out to your sales rep or find us here at box.com.